The cost of electric, gas, food, everything is going up.
Families are seeing the effects of big cuts to local government.
A lot of children's facilities are being withdrawn because they've had their funding pulled.
This coalition came into power with the promise to be a family-friendly government. But more and more, people are starting to lose faith.
Louise is mother to 18-month-old Daniel. While she stays at home to look after him, her husband Tom teaches at a local primary school.
It seems that the government are spouting a lot of rhetoric about family-orientated child raising, and yet, down to reality, it's just not financially possible. And then they're further withdrawing free, groups, children's centres, child benefits.
George Osborne's autumn statement, while promising much, did little to lift the burden on families in Britain.
We will do whatever it takes to protect Britain from this debt storm while doing all we can to build the foundations of future growth.
In early January, a report by researchers at the Institute for Fiscal Studies revealed the extent these families are being affected by the austerity measures. It reveals the long-term prospects for the income of different family types. Its forecasts take into account what's happening in the wider economy in terms of earnings and employment levels, and the tax and benefit changes the government is introducing.
Now, we've found that throughout the ranges of income, families with children are being harder hit by the tax and benefit changes that the government's going to be introducing over the next few years, and that their incomes are going to fall by a lot more than those of other household types.
One indicator of this disparity is a comparison between average income of different family groups. Households with children are going to see an average income fall of 4.2% between now and 2015, whereas the fall in income across all households is on average only 0.9%. In real terms, this means a couple with 2 children will see an annual drop in income of £1,250, whilst a couple with no children will only lose £215 per year. One outcome the annual budgets like the one announced yesterday do not reveal is the long-lasting effect of the government's tax and benefit changes in particular. One of the key findings of this report is the effect the austerity measures brought in by the government will have on the most vulnerable in our society, such as those claiming carers allowance. This family group will be one of the hardest hit by tax and benefit changes. Whilst many of these changes have yet to be implemented, Carers UK, the country's leading carers charity, is already seeing an impact.
We've seen a big increase, not just in people needing advice and information, but also the anxiety of people who are wondering how they'll cope if their benefits are reduced or if they lose practical support. The changes to the benefit system start this April and will continue to change for the next few years, right up till 2015. So we're going to see a real increase in that anxiety, but families going through reassessments for essential benefits and large numbers of people losing those benefits.
At a recent lobby, concern was raised not only over the benefit changes, but also local service cuts.
The recession's having quite a big impact, as one would expect, on the most vulnerable. And that's because of a number of things. First of all, we've got the cuts happening in public services. So people who rely on help from the local authority, for example, for care, are being affected. And they're finding that their care is being cut. People who are caring for their loved ones in their family are finding that the support that they rely on is also harder to get. And we also, of course, have the effect of the welfare reform measures that will be coming through, which means that many disabled people will also be losing benefits.
These changes add to the struggle many of those with caring responsibilities are already facing.
I have to watch the purse strings, and again, if I want anything, I have to save up for it, and again, it's really, really difficult. You make choices about whether you have your heating on, and as a person that's on benefits, you have to make lots and lots of choices like that. So I just put an extra jumper on. I know how to budget, I know how to save money with certain things.
My money doesn't go up to meet anywhere near the needs of it. I mean, I'm now spending roughly £450 a month on gas and electric alone. That's a heck of a lot of money.
We've seen over £1 billion be cut from older people's social care in local councils since the coalition came to power, and that's having a real effect on the ground. We're seeing fewer and fewer people getting the support they need.
Cutting fuel duty and freezing council tax have been brought in by the coalition to help ease the effect of these cuts.
But what needs to be addressed is why the policies brought in by the government are leaving some and not others bearing the burden of bringing Britain out of the recession.
Families claiming carers allowance who have responsibilities towards a disabled person, and also families with very young children who tend to be worse off on average. They're claiming quite a lot in benefits, so they lose the most when benefits are cut.
Big cuts, around £1 billion last year, potentially another £1 billion this year, mean that families are really seeing that practical help reduce. So they're facing a double impact on the financial support they receive, but also the practical support.